Just to mention that as you come into IDEA, you are part of a movement that is pursuing a particular path of growth and development. And we just launched our 10-year strategic plan at the beginning of the year, 2024-2033. So as we are all joined, I think it is important for us to also just appreciate that you'll be part of contributing to our journey. And as you can see, we want to be an international center of excellence by 2033. So by that time, in the next 10 years, we will be known everywhere in the world. And we will be attractive and hosting. That is our hope and prayer, and by faith we are owning it. We are owning it that by 2033, all that we are doing will be manifest across the world as a center of excellence in knowledge matters. To achieve that, we have defined ourselves 5 goals. 1, education and research. 2, organizational leadership and development. That is developing IDEA, as we will see. Developing and maintaining a work environment that is good, a living environment that is good. So that will be manifested in the physical structures that we have and we will be developing. Then we will be engaging society. Engaging with society, remember, one of our key instruments of achieving our mission is social enterprise. Remember also one of our key values is social responsibility. So we would like everything we do to contribute to enriching community life. So that starts not only corporately, but also individually. And that is why we are saying that we are developing transformative leaders. So wherever you go in your community, let people know that Moses went to school. What is that professorship helping us with? Ati udaktari ya nini? Yeah? Do we eat udaktari when hunger strikes? Because they are not seeing the impact of you going to school. So enriching community becomes key. Then, of course, as an enterprise, profitability, value to our investors becomes key. So it would be important that for each key result area, let's say institutional development, we have defined a variety of things. Eventually, God willing, by that 2033, we would have been certified based on international standards, you know. So then people know that we have processes which are congruent and which are delivering and that kind of thing, and that quality, remember we had a distinction, quality and excellence, isn't it? So the whole element of quality is going to be very key in what we do in building our institution for that matter. And that will start with us, and that is why we even say when we teach, you can also assess us as we assess you. And that when you are taken, you know, wherever you've gone, people will know indeed you have gone through a process. Infrastructure development, we will see some of this. Education is very building intensive, you know. Even though we are still talking about, for example, we are talking about online and what have you, but still there is a physical interface, yeah, that will be provided. So over the next 10 years, that is going to be one of our key areas of engagement, and we hope that the year 2025 would actually see us now moving to ground break in our future campus, which is about 20 kilometers from where we are in this area. So the whole area of institutional development, creating a good learning and work environment will be extremely key to us, and we'll be pursuing that. Then number 3 is focusing on now the reason we are sitting here, our education and research enterprise side. As I'd mentioned, that we want to establish ourselves as a center that delivers very high quality, superior quality of academic programs, research programs, and what have you. And we will be working on that as we even begin to work on it as we are speaking. So that basically will mean that we will be engaging with different partners, with the industry, and so on and so forth, and we will be pursuing accreditation processes. The reason you are here, for example, is because we have been fully registered by the authorities. So the question of what will happen when we live here is that we are working within a regulatory environment, which we seek as part of our integrity and professional values. We seek to comply with the law as much as possible. As you are here, just be assured that we have gone through the accreditation processes, and therefore, for the other things we are still pursuing, that will be an ongoing thing as time goes by. Number 4, engaging with society and enriching community life. This also will be part of our learning, and we will be explaining shortly what that would mean. But what we want to ensure is that whatever is taught here can also be practiced and applied in real life situation. So in other words, we are building a community of problem solvers. And that can only manifest when we engage with communities and enrich their lives. Also, just to mention that we will also be having programs that target youth, mentoring youth, and so on and so forth. So we would want to be seen even in the neighborhood where we find ourselves here and where we are and where we'll be practicing. Our main goal is that when we go to a community, we don't leave it as we found it. And that is very, very possible. And then last but not least is business processes and shareholder value. You heard, for example, Madam Mary saying that she's managing business optimization. Business optimization will only manifest itself when the investors are also happy. As we are saying, all these things will require huge sums of resources that certainly are beyond us individually, but collectively with different inputs. So we have also to ensure that if you invest in something, then you see return on what? On investment. Return on investment. So we will be doing that as time goes by. And as IDEA grows, as I'd said, that we are in the process of establishing the International Development University of Africa. We had the sustainable development, but I think as we are writing our constitutive documents, we have just settled on International Development University of Africa. So that we are working on, and I think within probably the medium term, within the next, within the period we have set, the 10 years period, it will be fully established. That is our hope and prayer, and we also take that by faith. Then we have the IDEA College of Technology and Development Studies. That is what we are today as we are even discussing. So as I'd mentioned, this is something that we are set up in 2012. and is continuing the path that God has designed for it. Then IDEA Consulting and Advisory, IDEA Enterprises, then IDEA Foundation. IDEA Foundation will help us even mobilize resources to support those who are not able to acquire education, yet they have the capacity to. Scholarships and all those things. That foundation, when it comes to pass, will help with such things. So we are talking about an institution which is evolving in different dimensions. And others will come, like we are going into the health space, so we will be running health facilities and such like things for teaching and also for service, not only to the IDEA community, but also the communities that surround it. So we have visualized basically what that campus I talked about will look like. So this one is how the campus will look like. This is the master plan. So in the next 10 years, and I think is the strategic focus area number 3 on infrastructure development. So this is what is emerging. So this will be the Nairobi Metropolitan main campus. So God willing, and we know He's willing, once we have sent those prayers to Him, we will do that. And that center will do a number of things, offering multidisciplinary postgraduate, undergraduate studies, international linkages, executive training during the long holidays. You call them long holidays, isn't it? We would be more focusing on providing short courses, executive training, and so on and so forth. Conferencing facilities. This will be a thought leading center, so to speak. Youth outreach and community transformation will be reflected in this campus. So that is what we are visualizing. And as we said, you are part of that journey. You are part of that journey. When it comes to our core business, what is the approach and education and training approach that IDEA College has adopted? We are informed by 5 key things why we are in this. Number 1, we want to enable learners to acquire discipline-specific knowledge, competencies, and transferable skills. So you are enrolled, for example, for a level 6 or diploma in community health. You should, when you leave here, be confident that in the discipline of community health, you have been properly trained and you have acquired requisite knowledge, competencies, and transferable skills. Transferable skills are the life skills. They are the life skills. Remember, one of our values is lifelong learning, isn't it? You learn things beyond the letter and the word that you read. Many of us go to school, and I was having a chat with somebody who was telling me, you know, I passed that exam, but if you ask me what I passed, I'm not very sure. In other words, you read for passing what? Exams. But we are saying, look, if you get that knowledge, skill, and competency in your discipline area, which is community health, then you should be able to be as confident as possible. Impart theoretical and practical problem solving skills. A lot of people think theory is not important. But what theory helps you to do is to understand and discern the world. So you have always had people talk about, you know, we don't know where the rain started doing what? Beating us. You have heard those statements. They are very commonly used. The reason the person is saying that, because they did not quite understand the environment where the wind comes from, you know, and so on and so forth. So they don't know where the rain is beating them from. That is the idea of having an understanding in a given area in context. That is where theory, it starts helping you make assumptions. If this fence is straight like this, what would have made it, be straight and not like others? We visited a friend of ours' coffee farm in Murang'a, and you see his farm is doing a lot better than his immediate neighbor. Just across the fence, the coffee is just like this. So you start asking. Theory helps you understand that environment and why this is doing better than the other. Now, the most important aspect of it is that theory to practice to solve a problem. If you get the practical element combined with theory, you will be able to solve the problem. Are you getting that? So we seek to balance the two. Then number 3, we would like to enable learners to acquire ethical and value-based management and leadership competencies. And we here in IDEA, we say that the problem sometimes is not lack of knowledge, is not lack of skills, is a crisis of values. That is why me, as a doctor or as a nurse, I'm in a hospital, I have the knowledge, I have the skills, I have the competency, but I lack the character. So somebody will die on my hands, not because I lack what? The skills. That person would rather seek attention from a quack than a trained professional. It's a question of values. And we would like, as we had said before, that whoever goes through our hands as IDEA College, when you come out, you should be able to demonstrate that you are value-driven, that you are ethical in your practices and in your actions. Then number 4 is we would like to enable learners to acquire and apply servant leadership attitudes and skills. And attitudes here is so critical, actually is the game changer. Life. How you serve and how you exercise your leadership responsibilities will be determined by the attitudes that you demonstrate. Many of us would not do certain things because they are not, me as Dr. Oyaya, how do you expect me to wash what? Clothes or dishes. You see what I mean? That is an attitudinal problem. Actually, with my doctorate, I should even clean it better, so that whoever sees I've cleaned my plate will see that it has been done in a doctorate way. So sometimes the reason in our environment we are saying there are even no jobs is not lack of jobs, is our attitude towards what is available. So that is something that we pray that when we are out here, if you are in leadership, you do it, you lead by doing. Not you ask people to do what you yourself cannot do. You have seen it in our probably space when some of our political leaders are telling Kenyans, tighten your belt, isn't it? Things are hard, tighten your belt. But them, they are loosening their what? Their belts. That is not servant leadership, So Number 5 is the whole question of acquisition, generation, and application of knowledge. This is largely through research. So at even this level, some people say that at middle level you don't need to be engaging in research, but then how do you influence without evidence? You get what I mean? So a lot of the work that we are going to do through our learning pillars, as I'm going to share with you, will involve quite a bit of not only acquiring knowledge, but generating knowledge through research and applying it to make change. So when Michael was saying that one of the things I will be teaching is numeracy skills, it involves use of numeric capacity or skills to also generate ideas for change in that regard. Then last but not least, contribute to improving professional, policy, and service delivery systems and practices. By you going through this process and having the competencies that we have talked about, you should be able to now be as professional as possible. You will have to deliver services and influence decisions in different ways, wherever you are. So, as we have said many things, those particular objects of our training and education approach, we have captioned them on a 4-pillar model of training. We believe, as IDEA, that the training should be competency-based, balancing between theoretical and analytical learning capacities and also practical ethical learning. That is the approach that we take. So in other words, as you get out, you are all-rounded. You are a critical thinker as much as you are a practical what? Doer. You don't just think in ivory tower, you also do what? Do it where it matters most. So we have a 4-pillar learning model. 1, learning through teaching. That is where we here are represented as teachers. And we will teach. But that is only part of the story. We believe that knowledge and evidence-based learning is also critical. This is where we use applied research skills as a learning tool. And we will be doing that. Number 3, value-based learning. And we will be assessed in this. There is even a unit that relates to that. But most importantly, learning through service. This is what in certain context is referred to as, for example, attachment. Yeah, industrial attachment and all that. We call it learning through service. This is where you will identify a problem in the context that you will choose and apply research and evidence-based, applying the knowledge you have acquired and apply your value systems that you will have evolved or developed, and then see it in the context of practice, which is service. So let's say you go out here and you find that the road is uneven, isn't it? And you choose that as your project. You will look at why it is uneven, why the people are not addressing it, and then design a solution to it. Just as an example. So that is where all 1, 2, 3 will find space and will be demonstrated. So you will find that sometimes in class you are very clever. You get 100%, isn't it? But when you get out into the community, you don't know even how to communicate with people. You see what I mean? You will learn how to communicate with people. You go to an environment and you find there is a conflict. You will become a peacemaker. You see what I mean? You find there is a funeral, yet you have to converse with them. So that is where now all that will be demonstrated. And if you are able to go through that, I tell you, you will step out into the world wherever you are taken. Nothing will bwogo you, as a musician once said. I think we have had CBC, isn't it? We have thought very much that CBC is only at lower levels, then you go to junior, isn't it? Now those who are in junior now are beginning to think of going to senior school, isn't it? Yeah, but it cascades all through to education and technical training level, vocational training, and so on and so forth. So by the time we are going back, and the model that I've talked about is actually competency-based. But the most important thing is that when we talk about competency-based education and training, it is about providing specified skills. Remember that we are talking about discipline-specific knowledge, isn't it? Skills and competencies. So this is something that you should be able to get, knowledge and attitudes. And as I said, the issue we have and why we are talking about more service-oriented or competency-based is because of our attitudes. Some of us think we have been trained only to do certain things. So that is something that will be dealt with, but it is also about performance and aligned with given tasks, performance of tasks. That people, and we will be known by our own fruits, isn't it? It is aligned with the duties and roles and responsibilities you are supposed to perform wherever you will be located to do that. And more importantly, competency-based education and training is about you being able to fit and adapt to the marketplace as it evolves. As I said earlier, that the environment does not remain constant for you to fit in it. It moves. It is for you to adapt, isn't it? So we are talking about adaptive capacities to the marketplace. Workplace, industry, and field of practice. Wherever you will be located, this would be important. But I would want to basically say that when you go through the training program, you as a learner will have acquired relevant skills, knowledge, and attitudes, and will be in a position to apply them in your area of calling. And what will that mean? It means at an individual level, you will be able to perform the tasks which are assigned to you. And remember, those of us who have probably gotten job description, there is always the last provision in a job description and any other. And you will discover that that nullifies everything else and you will do any other. And you should be ready to adapt as appropriate. Number two, manage a range of different tasks. Remember, we say we are training you to be multi-sectoral, multi-skilled, multidisciplinary, isn't it? So you may be called upon to multitask. You will not just say, my job was only to cut the fence, not to collect what I've cut. You know, there are people who can go that level. You should be able to multitask, do different tasks at the same time. Respond to contingencies or breakdowns. You become an emergency worker, you know, sort of a Red Cross. You intervene wherever there is a breakdown. You will not say, now things are bad, our vehicle has been stuck, we will not move. You should be able to respond appropriately. Number four, You should be able to deal with the responsibilities of the workplace, including working with others, interrelationships. How you relate with your boss, how you relate with your peers, how you relate with people under you. Some of us have real difficulties relating and working with others. And last but not least, you should be able to manage change. Remember, our dictum is knowledge and change. We are there for knowledge and change. As the environment evolves, can you manage it? And that is where those in the field of biology say survival for the fittest. If you are not able to manage, adapt to change, then you will be rendered redundant. Models, what is basically our offering as of now? We offer certificate programs in public health, community health, health service support, social work, and project management. Those ones. Support, social work, project management, and we are planning to begin to introduce medical laboratory and other medical programs as time goes by. In partnership with the Great Lakes University of Kisumu, and that is the university side, the International Development University, that is information, and we are working towards IDIA becoming the International University College of the Great Lakes University. We have agreed that we will be offering programs as time goes by. So we should be able to offer program on Bachelor of Science, Public Health, Bachelor of Science, Community Health and Development, Bachelor of Science in Counseling Psychology. These are programs that we are going to roll out, God willing, in the coming year as time goes by. Then we also have the postgraduate programs, Masters of Science in Public Health, Masters in Community Health and Development, PhD in both public health and community development. So in other words, what we are saying is that it doesn't matter where you start. You can start here and end here. It's just a matter of time. When, not if, depending on the effort that you do what you put in. Then, of course, the advisory services that we offer, research support, youth mentorship, data management, executive training, consultancy, and capacity building programs. So that is what we are structured to do as far as our education program is concerned. So when we talk about competency-based assessment, you are going to be assessed both internally and externally. Because we said we are fully registered, the programs that we are offering are fully accredited within the competency-based education and training approach. And at the end of the day, each trainee or learner will be required to go through assessments. These are assessments that test whether you are getting the concepts, whether you are able to apply them, and that kind of thing. This we can do, we have the authority to do it internally. Then the, what is it called? CDAC. What is CDAC in full? Council of, yes, CDAC, yeah. Curriculum Development and Assessment and Certification Council, yeah, would be handling external assessment. So for you to be declared as competent, you should have attained at least 50% in weighted score, both in theory and practicals. And this is what we say in our context in terms of learning through service, LTS, that you must get at least 50% for you to be declared competent in that regard. So this will depend at different levels. At levels 4 and 5 and 6, that is where we are. We are at level 6. A trainee must score at least 30% in practical assessment. And practical assessments are defined. You know, they could be in terms of role play, all those things, you know. They are defined in the guidelines. And at least 40% in practical for level 3 and level 6. The idea is that the lower the level, the more practical it is. And as you scale the heights until you reach the PhD I was talking about, then you find you are more trained for critical thinking, strategic thinking, looking at more longer term. You are managing larger things. So as you move from grade 3, as you move higher, then you find now the theoretical side, the critical thinking side or strategic thinking takes more prominence than practical. So I may be a doctor, but I'm not treating patients directly. I'm managing for you to be certified. Internal assessments conducted during training within IDIA will consist of a weighting of 60%. So in other words, our assessment will be weighted more than the external what? Assessment. Remember, the idea is to build competency. Practical skills, applicable skill, transferable skills. And then external assessment conducted by TVET CDAC, Curriculum Development and Certification Council, will consist of 40%. So this would be important for us to understand that we will be subject to external what? Assessment. External assessment. And this is how it is weighted. Now, it is important, what you see there, KNQF, is Kenya National Qualification Framework. So our qualification having been assessed will be done by the National Qualification Authority. So if somebody, for example, questions whether your certificate is authentic, they will write to Kenya National Qualification Authority to check whether you are in their role. Are you getting that? You may even want to go and work out, and they are not sure. They will write to Kenya National Qualification to just authenticate that your certificates that you have presented in Bangladesh or in Pakistan are actually authentic. Are we getting that? So these are the qualification levels, and that is why they are level 3, 4, 5, 6. And as you go to the university level, it's level 7, and so on. So those are the qualifications. So the qualification level of level 6 has a meaning. It has a meaning. Then, of course, these are the weighting for, as you can see, the practical for level 3, which is the vocational training. These are what they were calling grade tests. We have heard of grade tests. Somebody was a builder or a mechanic, you enroll for exams, then you are given grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. These are the ones at that level. Then at level 5, these are the crafts. You know, these are the certificate courses. In some places, they call them crafts. Then level 6, whatever. So you can see the practical goes down. So for level 6 is 50% theory, 50% practical. Are we seeing that? For level 5 is 40% theory, 60%, and it cascades that way. So in other words, somebody at level 3 at grade test is more doing than having critical what? Thinking, which sometimes I find interesting because those are the inventors. You know, the inventions are taking place in your curly shades. And that involves thinking. But they are enabled as they do that they will be acquiring those skills, critical thinking skills and so on and so forth as they move on. That one is just a picture as signing our partnership agreement with the Great Lakes University of Kisumu. And Mandela once said, it always seems impossible until it is done. As you are coming in, it looked like something very far-fetched, isn't it? But you have made the most important step in your lives. And when, after 2 years, you will have gone through this, then you will know, after all, it was possible. It was not impossible. Thank you very much.